You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello and welcome to episode 302 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Hey everybody, it's Sean back at you with another exciting episode. And boy, oh boy, do we have a special guest this week. We have Mahryah Shain, and he has been in such television and movie projects as Constantine and Bones, but he's not here to talk about his acting work. Mahryah, how are you today?
I'm great, Sean. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's been a pleasure
to
have you here. So I guess it's your assistant who reached out to me?
Omar reached out to you. Yeah, he helps me track down and discover cool podcasts in the podcast world.
And somehow you stumbled upon the Soul Forge.
And somehow he stumbled upon the Soul Forge and said, I got a cool one. Check this out. I was like, that's a cool one.
All right. So you said you've listened to a few episodes.
Yeah.
And the general theme of the podcast fits with your philosophy of life and what you are into?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, okay, so I have a company called More Hair Naturally, and we focus on hair loss. We make all natural products for thinning hair loss. Stem cell. We're the first company to introduce stem cells to the topical application of hair loss back in 2016. Okay. But the real heart of it is that we are here. I'm here to help change people's lives. I mean, I have a bigger picture for myself. The thing is it's not just about hair loss. It's about self-confidence, self-esteem, motivation, encouragement. And the idea is that the more attention you have on your body and concerns or considerations about your body, the less of yourself you're going to put out into the world.
Yeah,
because if you go out into the world and you're a little introverted on yourself and how you look or how someone might think of you or perceive you, you're not going to go out 100%. You're going to go out 70%, 60%. Maybe you'll even slump down and get down to 50% and not make eye contact. And there's extremes of it. But my goal, and our company's goal is to get your attention 100% off your body and out into the world. Because when you have your attention out into the world, not only do you influence people around you just by being alert. I mean, that's really like at this point in society, someone who's just alert and aware is enough to change the energy of a room. But also in like taking care of those things in your life that you want to take care of and taking care of those actions and those things in your life that might be consuming your attention or bothering you, it puts you more in control of your life and puts you more at cause over your life. And having that ability, you can then put that into other areas. And so you'll have confidence that you can control and you can make a decision and get a positive result in other areas of your life as well.
Where were you 25 years ago? I could have used you back then.
searching
right
for answers,
sure. and now you've got them.
No, still searching actually.
Yeah, because it's true, it never ends, does it?
Yeah, but the idea is like, so just like in a nutshell, like the concept behind More Hair Naturally, because I think it kind of ties in, is essentially my father, like, so every man in my family is bald. I should be 100% bald right now. I should be totally bald. I'm thrilled to have what I have. So in the maybe like late in the mid 90s, my father started losing his hair, just as every single male in my family does. And he panicked. He's like, what do I do? What do I do?
Right.
And we've always had the philosophy as a family, and growing up, I've always had the philosophy that our bodies are meant to work with nature. We've evolved over millions of years synergistically with nature. Everything in nature has been around to support our bodies to function at the highest level they can function. So like if someone gets sick in the family, it'll always be like, well, how can we help our immune system do better? What in nature is going to help boost our immune system so our bodies can fix what's happening themselves? Because if our body fixes it, it remembers and it moves forward with that idea. So when my father started losing his hair, there was nothing out there. It was the same products that are today, like the same drug products are used today with the same products then, with the same products in the 70s. They're all this, it's the same products. So he started taking those and it messed him up. He started getting sick. He started getting side effects. He started getting lethargic. He actually started developing breasts because it altered his hormones. And that was not his plan. He did not want that.
I guess not.
Yeah. And so he basically, we were like, you got to stop. This is, you look terrible. You're not healthy. And so my mother's from Italy and she has some family in Lake Como, and she was talking to them, and there was like a little lab there that was doing some really exciting stuff in the field of hair loss, in all natural field. And she's like, well, send some to us. So she got some, she sent it, it started working. And then we became their North American distributors.
Yeah.
So at that point, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know, all we knew is we had something that was getting a good result, and it was all natural. It wasn't an amazing result, but it was a result, and it was a natural result.
Right.
And so that's when we started researching, like, okay, so what is hair loss? What is this? What's happening? And the more we started like understanding it, we started realizing that we could do a lot better than what's happening. And so at that point, we started like just researching medical journals all over the world, figuring out like what's happening in the field of hair loss, because science didn't go to sleep in 1970, So we started like researching, and there's all these amazing things being discovered with stem cells, probiotics, amino acids, all these incredible things that were getting results, but none of them were in products. So at that point, we brought everything to California, all our operations to California, and we're like, listen, we want to take every single one of these ingredients and put them in one product, but at the same clinical strength that's producing results in the studies. And it took a couple of years, and then eventually we figured out how to do it, and then we did it. And then we redid our whole product line, and going forward, we did it with that approach of what's happening currently now.
Okay.
Now, the reason why we did it that way is because it's so important to us that we set people up to succeed. And the reason why is, I mean, not just because you want to have like a kick-ass product that will change the world, but bigger than that. It's because when somebody makes a decision and then they see a positive result, it gives them the confidence to know that they can make other decisions and achieve positive results.
Yes.
And like I said, it's a bigger picture. So we're like, if we make sure that we can set someone up to win in this area, then they'll feel confident that they can win in other areas. And in doing that, it'll have a snowball effect on their life, on their self-esteem, on their families, friends, church, environments, because you have somebody who now feels capable to make a change.
Okay. So it's like it's an overall approach.
It's an overall approach. And the thing that we're finding, and that I'm finding too, is that you don't even have to hit the end result to have that change in viewpoint. Because like when you go to the gym, right, and you work out for an hour, and you look at yourself in the mirror afterwards, you look the same.
That's right.
But you feel like you look incredible. You know what I mean? You look the same, but you're like, I look great. This is on. I got it going on, Yeah. And it's not because you physically have your six pack, but it's because you're doing the right things to get that. And just knowing that you're doing the right things gives you that motivation to like get out there and get your attention off yourself and off your body and into the world.
So it's almost like the journey is more important than the end result.
Yes and no. The end result is incredibly important. I mean, when you get on a plane, you're not going for the plane ride. You're You're going because you
yeah.
want to like jump in the water at the Bahamas,
That's
you know?
right. Yeah, oh, yeah,
You
for
know?
sure.
So the journey, I mean, the end result is super important, but it is exciting when you're on that plane because you know, like, oh yeah,
The anticipation.
yeah, the anticipation, and that is enough to change a viewpoint and a philosophy. But it doesn't even. I'm just rattling on here, but it doesn't even really. But the thing is, though, somebody could have crazy hair. Since we're talking hair and hair loss, they could
Yeah.
have crazy hair, like patches everywhere and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But if that person feels incredible about how they look, and they're like, "I look great," then that's awesome because they achieved the goal ultimately that we want them to achieve. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
so it is a physical goal of having like great full hair,
Mhm.
but the real goal is having the self-esteem and the confidence of looking at yourself and feeling great about what you see.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
You
Did,
know,
did your father get hair? Did he get the hair that he wanted?
he did. He was very happy. It worked out.
Oh,
It
good.
worked out. He was very happy. He had crazy. He liked to keep his hair nuts. He had crazy mad scientist hair till the day he died.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, before we started recording, you said this product doesn't necessarily work for everybody. You looked at my shiny head in the camera here and you said, oh, it wouldn't work for you.
Yeah, because if the follicles are dead, which is indicated by a shiny, smooth scalp,
Mhm.
then nothing can bring back a dead follicle.
Right.
But like sometimes people will go through like big times of stress, or they'll have to get on some sort of medication, or have some sort of like temporary illness or something that will cause them to lose their hair and will
Okay.
cause them to have a shiny baldness.
Mm.
When it happens fast like that, it doesn't necessarily mean the follicles have died.
Okay.
There is a dormant window. So if someone just suddenly like loses their hair for some like external reason, it doesn't mean the follicles have died. But if it's like, you're in your 50s, 40s, 50s, you've been losing hair for 30 years, that's a little bit
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a little bit of a different story.
Okay. Yeah. Because I just turned 47 and I've had this hairline since probably my mid-20s. So
Yeah. So it is what it is at this point.
no hope for me. Okay.
But yeah, that's essentially what we're going for. I mean, the mechanics are very interesting though to me as well, because like there's tons of reasons why people lose their hair. There's stress, there's emotional, there's medications, there's diet, there's illness, but the overall arcing reason is because of genetics.
Yes.
You know, that's the 97% of people, men, women, who lose their hair
Mhm.
is genetics.
Okay.
But and people like to close the door on genetics, like genetics, you're doomed, period. But that's actually not the case with
Oh,
hair
really?
loss.
Okay.
It's just that's not the case, because this is what we learned when we first got into when we first kind of like the doors opened up to us and we started like trying to understand it. This is one of the first things we learned, is that when our bodies break down testosterone, men and women, it creates a byproduct called DHT. Now, this is just a byproduct of your body breaking down testosterone, and it's generally just excreted through your body. It's not a big deal. However, when it passes by the hair follicle, it gets stuck in these little potholes on the follicle. Pothole is not scientific, but it's a good
But
visual, so
yeah,
I'm sticking with it.
I can see it in my head here. Yeah.
Yeah, so it gets stuck in these little potholes. Now, these potholes, that's the generic trait of hair loss, are these little potholes. You could inherit a lot, you can inherit very little. So what happens is when the DHT passes by, it gets stuck in the potholes. And as time goes on and more get stuck, it begins to gradually cut the blood flow off to the follicle. So the follicle starts to get weaker and weaker, and then eventually gets thinner and thinner, and then eventually dies if nothing is done about it. So the actual hair loss equation in the genetics side would be how many of these little potholes you've inherited versus how much testosterone your body's creating. So a woman could have inherited tons of these little potholes, but because she's not producing as much testosterone as a man, she will experience hair loss, but she's not going to experience it till much later, because it's going to take that much longer for enough DHT to accumulate that it really starts to strangle off the follicle.
Okay, I see.
Whereas a man could have very few of these potholes, but produce tons of testosterone, which in turn produces tons of DHT, and he will experience hair loss earlier.
So the less testosterone you have, the less likely you are to go bald. If you have less potholes.
As a general rule, yes, but also the less testosterone you have,
right,
there's a whole slew of health ramifications attached to that you don't want.
Of course.
Yeah, you want both. You want I will never condone like testosterone, like reducing your testosterone unless there's like a drastic health reason for it. In general, when approaching hair loss, you shouldn't have to do anything to your body that's going to put you in a lesser condition of health.
Yes.
So our only goal with our products is to get that DHT just to slide off the follicle, get the blood flowing back to the follicle, start bombarding it with stem cells, probiotics, amino acids, build it back up, and let the follicle start doing what it's supposed to do, which is produce hair.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So how does your product work? Is it a pill? Is it a topical cream? Is it an injection?
Oh, it's a spray. It's a water-based. We put it in a water-based spray. And the reason we did water-based is because we don't want something oily. We don't want something greasy. A lot of the foams out there are very greasy and oily. We want something that you put on because it has to stay on the scalp.
Okay.
Anything that's going to help with hair loss needs to absorb into the scalp. There's no shampoo or conditioner that's going to help hair loss. I know they pitch it. We have a shampoo conditioner as well, but anything that is going to help with thinning hair has to absorb into the scalp.
Makes sense.
Shampoos will help with volume and fullness, and they'll help on a cosmetic level to help with this, clean the scalp, but none of them are going to help with thinning. So it's just a spray bottle. You spray it directly to the scalp, as close as possible to the scalp, massage it in for 30 seconds, let it dry. And then you do it. We have two different sprays that you use together. You do one in the morning, one in the evening.
Okay.
Super simple.
Okay. And where would people find this product?
All right. Well, there's a couple ways. Either morehairnaturally.com, which is the website.
Okay.
But also on the website, there's phone numbers on the top and the bottom of every page. And the reason why I have phone numbers on the top and bottom of every page is because we want people to call. When someone calls in, we offer them what's called a hair loss consultation, where we just talk to them about their hair. I have people here that are very, very trained, and we talk about their hair. We work to track down the root cause, and then we offer up solutions. It's because maybe it's just a diet change. Maybe it's just a very stressful period, and there's certain things that you just need to handle and get out of your life, and then you'll be fine. Yeah. Or maybe like you do need to get on a program. I mean, we will offer products if they think they'll help, but that's not really the point of the call. The point of the call is to help you put someone back in control of their life, help put you back in control of an area that you might feel is a little out of control,
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's more than just hair loss solutions that you're offering.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a bigger goal. We want to restore people's, vitality and their gusto for life,
right.
So that's really what we're going for. So yeah, not everyone likes to get on the phone. People just like to buy and just get on with their life, and that's cool. They can just go to the morehairnaturally.com, do what they want, get it's all right there. Everything's explained. They can get what they want and then go on. But if someone has questions or isn't sure, should call, and then we'll help them and talk to them and help them find it. Because again, like the goal is to get somebody to feel like they're in control of their body and in control of their future.
And that's not always easy.
Not always easy. No, it's a commitment.
For sure.
It's a commitment for sure.
Yeah, it is.
In any aspect, it's a commitment. So, okay, I read this wonderful definition of discipline the other day, which it actually changed my life, this definition, because I've always thought of discipline as somebody's yelling at you.
Oh, yes. Yeah, right. Like in the army or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's just yelling at you. And then initially you just like revolt. That's always been my approach to like, you get disciplined. It's not like, and people talk about self-discipline and you're like, yeah, I got to have self-discipline. in the back of at least my mind, it always had a negative, like somebody's yelling at me because I'm wrong.
Yeah, I could see that. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, don't tell me, even myself, like I don't need discipline. But then I heard this definition and it literally changed my life. It said, discipline is doing exactly what you know you should be doing it at the exact time you know you should be doing it, regardless of if you want to do it or not.
Yeah, that makes a heck of a lot of sense.
And I like that because like it's okay. It made me feel okay to not want to do something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I exercise in the morning.
Okay.
I don't like getting out of bed.
No, who does?
I don't like getting out of bed at like 5:45 to go exercise. I don't like that.
Sounds horrible.
It's horrible. But then when I realized, oh, it's okay that I don't like it, but I know it's the right thing to do, it changed my viewpoint on it. So it was okay. It's like, yeah, it's okay you don't like it, but you know it's the right thing to do. So just go do it.
That makes sense. Yeah, I get that.
And that for me personally, I mean, everyone's different, but for me, that kind of rearranged my perspective on things. And then there was this other book I was reading called, oh, what was it called? I can't remember what it was called. I'll remember when we're talking. But it was talking about they did this survey where the compound effect. It's called the compound effect.
Okay.
And they did this survey where, I mean, this was just mentioned in the book. It's not the point of the book. That the difference between like with very successful people and unsuccessful people. And they listed all these different like tasks and stuff. And what they found was the unsuccessful people and the successful people, neither of them wanted to do the tasks that were listed. Neither of them wanted to do it. But the difference was the successful people did them.
Yeah.
You
totally.
know, that was so it had nothing to do with like, they're just they love getting up at 5:30 and working 12 hours a day. No, but they did it, because they know that that's what needed to get done.
That's how the success happens.
Yeah, right. So I thought that was a kind of a cool eye opener too. I guess I needed permission to know it was okay not to want to do something.
Everybody hates doing it, but the successful people do it anyway.
Right. And it's better for the future if you do it. So just do it.
Buckle down and get her done.
Just buckle down and get her done. And it was saying that it was talking about like that book talks a lot about the difference between like long-term fulfillment of goals versus immediate gratification. Okay. And it distinguishes the two because they were saying the guy who wrote it was the editor of Success magazine. So he's spent his entire career interviewing the world's most successful people. And he was saying that like the really successful, they're focused on the long term, like where is this going to lead me eventually, where the less successful people focus on the immediate gratification, like let's binge watch Netflix every day this week and stay up till 4 a.m. and be groggy. Because it feels good. Feels good to eat that pint of ice cream and just sit there on the couch in your sweats and be like, what's gonna happen next?
Right.
It does. It's fun. We all like it.
Oh yeah.
But that's the immediate gratification versus like, let's go to bed early so we can be sharp tomorrow, so we can like come up with some good ideas in the morning and then progress forward.
Yeah.
And it kind of equates to like bodies as well and hair, because the thing with hair loss is that it's not a fast fix, because there's a lot of DHT built up, so it does take time for it to come off. So and it takes time for the follicle to be rejuvenated and to come back and for the blood to start flowing back to it. So there is that aspect of continued, almost a relentless, habitual dedication to achieving the goal.
Okay, so
it's
no,
not just like
instant gratification.
Yeah, there's no instant gratification with it. So it does need to have that long-term focus of like, okay, every day, we're going to get there every day,
Yeah.
With any product, any change that you want to implement in your body, it has that approach.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you got to be consistent. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make it part of your routine. Put on your deodorant. Put on your hairspray.
Got it. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all routine. It's all part of the routine.
That's right. 21 days to make a habit.
That's what they say. Yeah.
So morehairnaturally.com. How often, or I guess, what's the average length of time that it takes for somebody to see results?
Yeah, it's different. It's different for everybody.
Mhm.
The time frame that we generally propose, because it's a general window, is 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Like people will start to notice things within that first month and a half. Like they'll start to notice like less shedding. They'll start to notice better hair days. It's a phenomenon that most people have. There's like look in the mirror and like, hey, my hair's looking great today.
Yeah.
But the real change is in that 3 to 6 month window. Someone's been losing for 20 years. It's going to be around that 6 month window.
Right. Of course.
Somebody's just going through some sudden medications or some very stressful moments, and it'll be close to that 3 month window.
Okay. So 3 to 6 months on average. That's
Yeah,
not too bad.
That's a safe window.
Yeah. And a bottle of spray will last you how long?
Well, here's what a bottle looks like. Here's
It's a good size. Okay.
yeah, it's a good size. And let's see if I can get it with the lighting right. Let's see.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Can you
So
see, can you see the powerful?
I see the mist.
The powerful mist.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, one bottle is measured to last 8 months. I'm sorry, not 8 months. It's measured to last 1 month at 8 sprays per application. However, not everyone needs 8 sprays per application. So the goal is just to saturate those thinning areas.
Mhm.
That's the goal. So if someone can do it in 5 sprays, then they'll extend the life of the bottle.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. So you spray it on a bunch of times, you rub it into your head and let it dry, and it takes about 30 seconds. And you do that in the morning, and then you do it again in the evening.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then that's it. And then you just let it dry. And we have two. Well, you do one. We have there's two different ones. So you do one in the morning, one in the evening.
Okay.
But and then you just let it dry. And again, the goal is to saturate the thinning areas.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure you achieve that goal. But if you do it in 5 or 4, then you just extended life of the bottle.
Right. Okay. So everybody's I guess situation's different, so results will vary.
Right. That's why I want people to call too. Because if someone calls in and they're like, I've been bald for 30 years, we're like we can recommend like some vitamins that are healthy that will help like the hair that you do have, stay strong, or maybe we could help with the hair on the side if you want. But ultimately, if your goal is to get that hair back on in that bald area, we're not going to help. We can't do that.
Because you're too far gone by that point.
Yeah, because at that point, it's probably an indication the follicles have died. But even if somebody else has been losing for 20 years and they're still not going to get it back 100% because there are dead follicles interspersed in there.
Yes.
So it's never going to look like it was when somebody was like 18,
no,
22. But we could help quite a bit to give it, make it fuller and healthier and stuff. But it's never going to go back 100% because of the dead follicles mixed in.
Yeah. Okay, I could see that. Makes sense. Yeah. I guess our listeners would probably want to know, do you get both the morning and the nighttime bottle at the same time? Is it like a one fee for the two, or what's the cost breakdown?
Well, they're separate. It really depends on how aggressive somebody wants to go, how long they've been losing their hair. Like if there's a man who's been losing his hair for like 15 years, he's got about like 70% left, but he's pretty thin on top. Realistically, he's going to need to use both bottles for at least 6 months.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just realistic, and we do encourage people buy them like all at once. And the main reason why is because it needs to be a dedicated, consistent application right out of the bat.
Right.
And if somebody buys just one bottle, they're not going to use it correctly because you got one bottle sitting there and it's one bottle. So you're going to use it sometimes and then you'll forget and then you'll use it and then it'll run out and then a month will go by, like, oh, wait a second, what happened? Whereas if you buy like 6, 12, 24, now you got 24 bottles. You're going to see those and you're going to know like, oh yeah, I just invested. Let me actually use it to the point of getting a result. Yeah. So then you'll start using it every day and there's no lapses and you can actually be consistent.
Mm-hmm. Because you paid for this thing. So it's like an investment.
Yeah. So it becomes more of an investment. Whereas if you just get one, money's still money. So it is still somewhat of an investment, but you have one, you could put it in a drawer, it could disappear.
Oh, yeah.
You could forget about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, and like we're in it for people to win, you know. So we need people to hit their goals, and we need people to see results. And I'm confident that what we made is really good. I mean, the clinicals, the results, the ingredients are so good. They're so good. They're so powerful. But people need to use it. They need to use it to see the results. So that's why we encourage that, because we want them to commit and to go through and get it and then celebrate at the end to what they've done.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. How long have you been on the market for?
My family and myself, we've been in this space, since the early 90s, essentially. But we, in 2013 is when we really started like the discovery phase of like, what is going on? Because up to then we had a product that was working. It was working, but it wasn't working fast enough, and the hair wasn't coming back thick enough. But it was great because it was the best thing that we had found and seen, and people were very happy with it, but we just felt we could do better. So that's when we started that whole like, what's out there, what's happening. And then when we start discovering like the stem cells and the probiotics and the amino acids and all these incredible non-drug formulations, that were getting results that were staggering, we were like, this is a big deal. So then when we brought everything here and we released that first product, that was back in 2016.
Okay.
We kind of call that our real like launch date, because that was the point when like everything changed for us,
Yeah, for sure. It looks like our Zoom call here is going to be over in just a minute. Should we switch over to the next one?
Yes.
Ask yourself, is the Flopcast the right podcast for you?
Do you have trouble picking a favorite Weird Al song, Karate Kid sequel, or Justice League Detroit member? Are you obsessed with Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch, Vicky the captain's daughter from The Love Boat,
Or Vicky the robot from Small Wonder?
Do you think Cyndi Lauper's We Are the World solo is the most important event in history?
You have half an hour a week for something completely stupid.
Then the Flopcast might be the right podcast for you.
We're on the ESO network
And at flopcast.net.
Right. So I think what I wanted to ask is, do you have any big celebrity clients that you can tell us about?
We are in LA, so yes, but we can't tell you about it.
No.
We wouldn't even tell you about our non-celebrity clients. Just it's pretty sensitive. It's a pretty emotional
It
topic
certainly is.
for a lot of people. I mean, we use pretty nondescript packaging as is, but I mean, we definitely have people who request not even having our name on the return address. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get to understand.
So it's not really something that we would.
No, that's completely fair.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if you had like a celebrity spokesman, maybe, or now, obviously you're a celebrity because you've been on Bones and Constantine and a few other things. Hardly
count there, but but yeah, no, we definitely have lots of people in the singers. We have a lot of like cool bands, which is that's always really fun around the office, because like even though we won't talk about it publicly, we'll sure talk about it in office.
I bet. Yeah.
Someone's like, guess who I just spoke to on the phone? And it's like some cool like rocker from like some rad hair band from the 80s. And you're like, whoa.
They used to have a lot of hair. Now they don't.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So let's talk more about how your services work, giving people back their confidence.
Yeah. So one of the funny things about like, because it's hair, you know what I mean? And sometimes people have this misconception that they shouldn't care about how they look because it's vanity and it's bad, and you shouldn't really be concerned with that, and it doesn't matter, and all those kind of considerations. And I think people get concerned about that because the idea of like vanity has attached to it the idea of being a jerk.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like the dudes in the Porsche from the 80s movies. You know what I mean? They're like checking themselves out in the mirror. And like we always say, like, no, you should care about how you look. Don't be a dick.
Right.
But you should care about how you look.
I think everybody does.
Yeah.
Even if they don't admit it.
Yeah, and it's important though, but it's important. And the only reason it's important is because the physical absolutely affects the mental.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you put on a nice suit or the woman puts on a nice dress and it's like, oh yeah, I look great. Today's going to be a great day. Whereas if you're wearing the sweats you've been wearing all weekend, you're like, oh, maybe I'll make some soup. You know what I mean? There's like,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
and that's just the physical. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal is to get people to the point where they look at themselves and they feel great about what they see. And in feeling great about what you see, you stop thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You no longer have attention on it because
Right.
you feel great about it and you stop, you're done, you're on. You're like, okay, my day's, let's do it.
So you're not internalizing it and it's not slowing you down.
Exactly. So, and it doesn't really even matter what you look like is the thing. It's so subjective. It has nothing to do with what other people's opinions are, what other people think. It's all how you feel about yourself.
Of course.
You know, because we do a lot of Zoom consultations as well with people.
Okay.
And I'll have people on the phone and they're panicking, like literally panicking about their hair loss, but they have this great full thick head of hair, women and men, you know, and they're panicking. It doesn't do them any good for me to say, you look great, dude. You have no problem. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. I have no problem. My life is fixed. You know, it doesn't work that way.
No,
you know?
no.
So it's totally subjective. They have to, it's an individual viewpoint of how you feel you look.
Oh yes. Yeah, I can totally see that. It's your feelings on the inside.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So it's all about like putting yourself back in control of that. And again, if you have hair that like society would deem as like silly or weird or you look funny in some way, the only way people will really in life have attention on it is if you have attention on it. You know what I mean? Because we've all encountered those people that are traditionally not beautiful people, but they feel great in their own skin. And then when you talk to them and interact with them, it doesn't even, you don't even really notice.
Yes.
Because you're just entranced with this amazing like intention and focus that's coming at you. It doesn't even register, but it's that person that is kind of like sucking it in and feels bad and feels weird. Then you start to like register like, oh, something's up, you know?
Yeah. Like some people are just naturally light and other people are like a drain.
Exactly. It's so true. Someone walks into the room who's like a natural like light per se. Everyone looks and goes, who's that?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
And it changes the space. And I think I think a big component of that is intention in terms of, is your intention out or is your intention in? Because when you're talking to somebody and they treat you like there is nothing else in the world but you,
yes,
it releases you somehow. You release from your own thoughts and you release from your own consideration. And all of a sudden you come up a little bit and you're like, I really like this person. I don't know why, but this person I really like them.
Yeah. You just
You just feel it. Exactly. So our goal is to put everyone in that position so that when, that person walks in, so more people walk into this space like that. So you have a room of people like that, you have a very powerful room.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
And those are people are like almost natural leaders in a way.
Exactly. But then all the books that I read and stuff on like business and leadership, there are no natural leaders.
Oh, really?
Like they say there's natural leaders, but like all the great leaders kind of had to find their way, they all kind of had to discover what that is and try to like figure it out. But there definitely is that aspect to it of like the thing that makes a great leader is their intention of where they're focusing on the people around them. Like the great leaders are focusing on bringing everybody to their peak level.
Yes.
And it's that intention out. They're not focusing on themselves. They're focusing their attention out. So that is what makes someone a great leader, is that their intention is on somebody else and making somebody else rise to the occasion.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's not a lot of people are out there like that, but when you find them.
But it's learned. I think it can be definitely a learned skill, because if if you just adjust your attention to like, I'm going to make sure everyone around me has everything they need to perform at their peak level.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're like driving people or yelling at people or pushing people. That just means that you're providing a space. It doesn't even mean teaching. Like you don't even have to be teaching,
Yeah.
It's just like just making an environment where someone feels like they can grow and that they can achieve a goal.
Right.
Is that's really all it would be.
Yeah, it's like a safe space to be you.
It's a safe space. Sure.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've got a miracle product here.
Well, not yet. Maybe someday I'll be able to, but I do have a pretty darn good product here.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds kind of weird to like put it down, but it's not miracle juice, but I want it to be miracle juice.
Of course, for sure.
Yeah. That's what I'm working towards. But but I think it's the best thing out there right now, for sure.
It sounds like it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to when I do the show notes for the episode here, I'll link to your website and I'll have a bunch of information on it and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, that'd be awesome. I love that. Thanks.
All of our listeners can find out more because I know a lot of people who would like more hair.
Yeah, and then they can call as well too and just chat if they want to.
Definitely.
And we can just talk a little bit.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Now, to wrap up, do you have anything else that you wanted to discuss, or did you have any fun celebrity stories from your acting career that you'd like to share? Did you get to work with your favorite actor or actress or anything like that? Or
I mean, I've worked with some pretty cool people, I have to say.
Yeah.
That I really like. And I will say this, at least for me, all my experiences have been super positive. I think.
Good. You don't hear that a lot.
Have been super positive. No, because like for me, I should say like the bigger the actor, the more like for me, the more engaged they were with like making sure that like everyone was at their top level.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So they would always go kind of out of their way to just make sure it was like the most creative, fun like space where people could like do good work.
Oh,
that's been my experience. I've also heard horror stories,
of course. Yeah.
I fortunately have not had those.
Oh, that's amazing. That's good. That's good. Now I know there's a strike going on and all that kind of stuff, but do you have any upcoming projects?
No, everything's shut down. But like I said, I do it for fun. I do it like, when something I do it when the opportunity arises, and that's pretty much it at this point. Yeah,
for sure. It's just a fun thing that you do.
Yeah, it's like a little. I treat it, it's like a little vacation for me because I love it. It's a good time. You get to hang out with a bunch of cool people. Yeah,
what's wrong with that? Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, it's great.
Sounds awesome. Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss on the show here before we go, or is that pretty much everything you wanted to cover?
No, that's pretty much it. I did have a little interest in the toys. Do you have a toy?
Yes.
Yeah, I was a little bit interested in that.
Okay, in like the Etsy shop or just some of the stuff that I've got laying around?
In your Etsy shop.
Okay, yeah. It's called Rusted Robot Toys. Actually, I'm looking at some of the products right now behind the camera here. A lot of pop vinyls. What else have I got? Action figures. All kinds of different things.
That's great. That's cool.
Yeah, I've been collecting since I was a teenager, and a few years ago, I finally decided maybe it's time. I don't need as many things as I have. So,
when you were as a teenager, were you collecting as a collector or just collecting as like a fan?
Well, I had a friend who had all kinds of cool stuff, and I wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
So I started collecting to probably compete with him, and also probably because I was lacking something in myself. The last 10 years or so I've been working on it and becoming more comfortable in who I am and all that kind of good stuff, and I'm like, well, maybe I don't need the toys to define me anymore, so maybe I can let some of them go.
That's cool. But are they? I'm assuming most of them are unopened, right?
The early ones are open, but later, yes, I was like, oh, keep the mint in box. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I can never do that part of it.
It's not easy.
Yeah, that was the hard part. I could never do that. I had friends that could do it.
Yeah,
I could never do it.
that's why you buy two.
Oh, that's it.
Some to keep in the package.
I never even thought about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, about 6 months ago, for some unknown reason, I started collecting Hot Wheels.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why. Probably because I was going through a breakup at the time, and
Yeah.
I collect things when there's stress in my life. I've
Sure.
realized. So I started collecting Hot Wheels like a kid, and I've got a bunch on my desk here. It's just a thing to occupy my time, I guess.
I love Hot Wheels. I have two kids and
Oh,
two
yeah.
little girls. So, and I have bought them quite a bit of Hot Wheels as well.
And they love them.
They love them. Maybe I love them a little more.
Yeah,
But it's a toy I can buy them that I can play with too.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, and they're small. You can just take them anywhere.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. And sometimes you get ones that go really far and really fast.
Oh yes,
You're like score.
it's true. Yeah, that's it.
I was never able to get them to do like the tricks though.
Yeah, I
I can
haven't
never
gotten.
ever do that. I know they have like tracks and stuff, and I can never get the tracks to do what the picture said the tracks would do.
I think those are professionals
Okay.
who've spent years doing it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually a museum here in LA, a kids museum
Okay.
that has an entire Hot Wheel room,
Really?
and they have tracks, and you can play with all of them and use their tracks, and it's a whole room with Hot Wheels, and they have races that you can do,
Oh.
and they have like tracks that go like ramps that go from one side to the room to the other that you have to climb up on a ladder.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's like multiple tracks, so you can get up with your friends and do like races down it.
Oh wow.
It's pretty fun.
And it's called the Kids Museum?
No, it is called it's a very weird museum. It's in the basement of a Jewish cultural center
In LA?
in LA.
Okay.
I'm spacing on the name. It's not very big. They have like 4 or 5 different rooms in it, but
Okay.
all of them have kind of cool interactive. They call it a museum, but they have cool stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, if I ever do get to California, I'll have to.
it's on Wilshire Boulevard.
Wilshire
I wish I could remember what it's called.
Well, I think that should be enough for somebody to find it.
Yeah, Wilshire Boulevard, Hot Wheel Museum, basement of Jewish Cultural Center. Then the name should pop up. Those
for
should
sure.
be enough keywords to get you
I
started.
would think so.
Yeah.
Well, we are talking about making a trip out to Disneyland, so
Oh, great.
you never know what'll happen.
Disneyland's fun.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I took my kids there for the first time when they were my oldest was 5 when I took her there.
Okay.
And I will say this, it's the first time I was reluctant because it's very expensive.
Yes.
And there were 4 of us, and the whole day was almost $1,000. It was
Yeah, I believe it.
It was ridiculous. However, my little girl had her mouth open all day. She was like, all day was full of gasps and just amazement at what she saw. I was like, that's the magic of Disneyland.
That's worth
Right
the
there.
$1,000 right there.
It was totally worth it. I had no problem after
Oh
that.
yeah.
But I was like, that's the magic that people talk about, is
That's
that reaction.
Mhm.
You know, it wasn't that jaded, like, oh, I wish Space Mountain was faster. You know, it wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just the awe and amazement at like the spectacles that she saw on all the rides.
Yeah, you don't see too many sad faces at Disney.
No, it was pretty cool. That part, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I went for the first time this past week. Yeah, it was quite the adventure.
Yeah,
So
awesome. Okay, cool, Sean.
all right, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad we got to do this.
Me too. Me too. Maybe we'll do
All
it in the future sometime.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Okay. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Soul Forge podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links, and don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The Soul Forge podcast is your best source for living your best life.
Think about it.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.